Welcome to another episode of Brand Chops, where we're chopping up brands to see what they're made of. My name is Zack Lemear.
And I'm Chris Duhaime. And today we're going to be unpacking the fascinating case study of mini brands, those tiny toys that you buy that are essentially just brands of products. And it's just essentially a label. So we just want to talk a little bit about that and explore why these things are so popular.
I say all the time that nobody buys or sells anything but brands. And I think if anything in the world proves it, it's this. And we're going to actually have my daughter, who is obsessed with these toys, on as a subject matter expert. She's 12 and she's ready to talk about it. But she loves these things. For her big gift this year, she literally got an empty grocery store to stock the shelves with fake products. Now, strategically, as a brand strategist, the only thing I can think of, and this is basically, it's evil, but it's brilliant. Branding works on such a deep psychological level that what they're doing is because some of these brands have no appeal to a child. 409, sponges, cleaning products,
Yeah.
Dysons. It's not just all candy. But again, these have no value. They're not a charm. They're not a bracelet. There's no narrative or story. There's no cartoon attached to it. There's no toy that you can play with. Literally, you just open them up and go, hey, I recognize that brand. And that's it. And now, hey, I can stock shelves for game. I don't understand that, but that's why we're going to have the subject matter expert here. The strategy I think that's being held here is they're a pre-programming. There's a great book by Robert Cialdini called Persuasion about how you can persuade people to make these choices. But they're pre-programming kids to associate and identify with these brands that really have nothing to do with their day-to-day, so that when they do go to the store and they do need to buy a cleaning product, they're like, hey, I recognize that 409. I recognize that Brillo pad. I recognize that Dawn soap because I used to play with this as a kid. I'll choose that because it's what I'm familiar with, which again, evil, but brilliant. But there's no utility to these toys. Many brands took the toy world by storm with miniature versions of real-world product packaging, like tiny little Heinz bottles of ketchup or Reese's wrappers. And there's not even one M&M in the bag of M&Ms. It's just an empty bag with a label on it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that there's actually no products and it's essentially just a logo that you're buying. And I know there's ones that are mystery balls where you don't know what brand you're going to get, and maybe there's an appeal there that some of the kids have. I think there's also a connection with just in your as you're being brought up, there's certain brands that are just around when you're with your parents. This is similar to what you're talking about, where for the longest time I still use Dove soap because that's what I used as a kid. And I have never even thought about doing a different brand. That's just the brand that I've always known and the brand that I've always used. And even though there might be something that's better for my skin, I wouldn't know it because I haven't spent the time. It's not something that has caused me enough pain to go out and find another solution. And so I don't. And so I keep buying the same brand over and over again. I think it's basically like that. It's starting to associate brands with children and just getting them, like you said, to just understand and realize what those brands are, and hopefully they'll pick up on them later in life.
Yeah, and this phenomenon speaks volumes about how much people value the emotional connection to brands, but also how brand trust is paramount to anything else when it comes to your product. Because the reason why you still buy Dove is because you learned to trust that product because it was provided to you by a caretaker early on. You've never had a problem with it. And this is a great way to build future consumers, because when you get older, you scrutinize more things. Oh, well, is this sourced sustainably, or is this got this particular ingredient in it? But if you've been programmed from a young age, you just go based on what's familiar. And that kind of leads me back into this next piece. Let's break down why many brands are so successful. One piece is nostalgia. They tap into the childhood memories of seeing these products on store shelves or in your household or using it in your thing. And then in reverse, like I said, it will further create that connection with the brand, even if they never saw it in their house and now they're trying to do it. Oh, Swiffer. I never used a Swiffer. We had a regular mop, but I remember playing with the Swiffer. I'll try that now. But then there's collectability. That's the only thing that I think this is. The limited edition strategy drives urgency and exclusivity. But the thing about this is that's funny to me is that, like, if you think about Pokemon cards or amiibo characters. There's always a limited supply of one particular thing, and then it becomes a holy grail mission to go find the Charizard. And it's a special Charizard. And then that thing is worth $1 billion. And then you see these influencers and these rock stars buying $1 million magic card, and it's graded and it's gold plated and it's the one and only thing you could get. But they don't have that really. This is why this is so interesting, because nobody buys or sells anything but brands, including these kids. And I love the fact, I mean, I kind of hate the fact, but I love the fact as a brand strategist that they've expanded this toy line to have accessories, and the only accessory you could give them is an empty store. It's just an empty supermarket that you fill the shelves with. And that's the game. The game is to go work for free at a supermarket and pay to play. It's crazy. But people love sharing their collections on social media, and it reinforces that brand's desirability, which works so well for the brands. And I'm sure they're paying through the nose to have all their logos and the Reese's and all this other stuff put onto these little tiny worthless pieces of junk that are honestly just landfill items that will all end up in the oceans and in our fish. And then we'll be eating the microplastics for eternity. But these kids can't get enough of it. And then they want to talk about, oh, did you get the 409? Did you get this? Oh, you got that one? Oh, I got. And I think the collectability of it is like you were saying, the mystery packs. When they had the Lego minifigs, there was always, oh, well, only 20 of these are available. Or you get the golden one, and then that's resellable, or that's this, or that's that. They don't have any of that. This is strictly just selling the concept of a brand, not even value exchange. It's not solving a problem. It's just fanboying and fangirling to brands that they know, or that they now know because they got a 409 bottle of spray in their mystery pack.
Yeah, it shows the branding really isn't just about the products. It's about stories and emotions that you have connecting to that particular product or brand, or in this case, the logos that you might be getting. Maybe there's a one of a kind or there's a limited edition one. It just helps solidify that brand. It makes that mundane product more fascinating and magical to that younger audience. And I would say there's different ways you can apply this to your business. So when you want to build that emotional connection with your audience through storytelling, this is a good opportunity to do that. It's, when you want to make sure that your brand is associated with some sort of story that connects with who you're trying to sell to. You want to make your brand memorable. Make sure that you're focused on consistency so that every time you appear, you're consistent in your messaging and your story. You want to maybe experiment with scarcity or exclusivity in how you're doing your branding. It could be a specific offer that you're putting out there that's limited time. Lots of different opportunities for that. I would also look at it from an education perspective. Oftentimes you're going to run into clients that are just not a good fit for you right now. What you want to do is at some point they might be a good fit for you. In the same case of what these brands are doing right now, where they're just getting visual brand recognition with these younger audiences that aren't necessarily their audience now, but will be. There's a way to do that from a business perspective, like smaller business perspective, where you can funnel those people that are not necessarily a good fit for you into some sort of education drip or some way to give them more and more value over time, and to be able to give them tips and tricks on how to be more successful so that at some point they are your audience and they can buy from you. They're going to know exactly who to go to because you're the one that has been feeding them information, helping them grow over time. And I think that's why we always like to do a different value products, trying to find where you want your product to land as far as this is the perfect scenario, and then finding ways to upscale that and then also downscale that product in a more affordable way so that you can get some of that smaller audience, whether it's through some consulting or workshops or group sessions, things like that. Maybe you're selling a course or something along those lines, something that can get your audience into your funnel quickly, but also just provide value until they're ready to become that ideal client for you.
And remember, people don't just buy products, they buy what the brand represents. And to tell you why this is such a popular toy, welcome to the show, my daughter and mini brands expert, Norah Lemear.
Thank you for having me.
Today's episode is about mini brands and how they don't really make sense to normal rational adults because they don't have a function at all. They're not charms. They're not part of a cartoon show. You don't actually get any food or snacks in any of the bags. There's not really any toys you can play with. It's just a package with a logo on it. And the best you can do to play with it is put it on the shelf in a fake store. So, what we'd like to know, as somebody who has a lot of mini brands, why do you like these so much?
Um, I like them because I think since little kids can't just go out shopping, they can have it just like right there and they can store it wherever and you sometimes if they're like this, you can take them out of the package and actually use them. Um,
And
but
what can you make a bracelet out of it or a necklace, or is it just something that you can play with that's a small version of a bigger toy?
it's just collecting things and I just like them because they're just so mini and
Do
like
you like collecting them?
yeah, I like collecting them a lot.
Are
And
there
I
rare ones?
yeah, there's let me show you one. This one, all the golden ones are rare. This is a fidget cube, and I have a golden Chewbacca. I have golden Woody.
So how does it make you feel when you've gotten a golden rare one?
Excited because they're really rare. Like this one's also golden. It's like hairspray.
What are your favorite mini brands?
So some of my favorites are this one because it's a guacamole, and I like it so much because I love how it's in the package, and then there's like the actual item in here, as you can see. Um, I like this Care Bear one because you can actually take it out if you are careful. And let me show you. Like this, you can take it out of the package and
And do
like
what with it?
um nothing really. You can just take it out.
So you just like having all the brands in a collection. You like collecting the rare ones.
Yeah.
Now, what makes the rare ones so special? Is it because you can sell them for something or you trade them? Do you trade these with your friends?
You don't trade them. You just like to have them in your collection. Just something special. This one's also a golden one. It's golden Buzz Lightyear. Lightyear. And there's a lot of golden ones I have because I've been collecting them for over a year now. And
Yeah, you've
yeah.
been collecting them from over a year now. And tell us a little bit about the one of the bigger presents that you got for Christmas.
One of the bigger presents I got for Christmas was a mini brand mart. This is part of the mini mart. It's some shelves, and you can just put them on like that.
So what you're saying is that you really just like collecting them for the sake of collecting them, and then the only thing you can really do to play with them is stock shelves in a fake store.
Yeah. There's no dolls that you can play with unless you play with Barbies. Maybe you can use them as some toys. But if you don't play with Barbies, then there's no mini brand dolls that you can just like play around with that they can carry. It's just mini toys.
And they come in mystery packs, right? So it's always a surprise. You never know what you're going to
Yeah,
get.
yeah. They come in mini brand balls, and you open it, and it's like an orange. You open it, and each slice has a toy in it.
And so, what are some of the more random mini brands? Because I know, and one of the things that we talk about on the show is how these things are toys that are also things that you wouldn't normally care about as a child, like
Um,
cleaning solutions and wet wipes and medicated shampoos and shaving cream. And so, what are the ones that you think are the most boring?
I think this one, it's foundation. I think it's the most boring because you don't really care about it as a kid. And this one, nail polish, and this one, weightless hairspray. And I don't think any of the kids would really care about that stuff.
What about Q-tips or Spam or Vaseline? You ever get any of those?
No, I don't have any of those yet. I don't even know if they make Q-tips, but I don't have any of those ones yet. Maybe in the future.
So how many mini brands do you think you have total?
Um, Probably about 50.
You think 50?
Yeah.
I would say maybe even more than 50. And how many come into a pack? 5?
I haven't had a mini Bramble in a while. Probably 5 or 6.
Interesting. So do you think that when you get older and you go shopping for yourself, for your house, and you see things on the shelf that you never had to buy before, like deodorant or kitchen cleaner or toilet cleaner or something like that, would you be more likely to pick the brand on the shelf that you recognized because you saw it in the Mini Brands toy over something else?
Yeah, I think that would probably be the thing I'd pick first because I'm more familiar with it. I don't know any other brands, so I think I'd just stick with the one I know.
Even if you've never tried it and you've never seen it, but it's just because you've seen the package and the logo before. So now, because you're familiar with the logo and the brand, you're more likely to choose it on the shelf.
Yeah.
And that is what I feel like is the craziest thing about this, is that it's a toy that really has no function except for possibly pre-training and programming children to recognize brands for when it's time for them to buy them. They're more likely to buy these major brands, which, as I've said earlier in this show, is a little evil and a little brilliant. Depends on whose side you're on. But is there anything else you'd like to share with us today about your love for mini brands?
I could show you these bags that I have of them if you
Sure.
want. So I have White Castle.
They even give you empty bags that are normally garbage. I love this. This is hilarious to me.
A normal shopping bag that says Mini Brands on it. This is part of the Disney collection. Has Jasmine and the other princesses on it. And then this one is part of Disney too. It has Minnie Mouse on it.
Fascinating, fascinating. Well, I appreciate your time on our show, Brand Chops. I knew that you've had a lot of these and you play with them. And play, I'm going to use in very strong air quotes, because all you really can do with these is look at them, remember their logos, put them on a fake store shelf, and that's pretty much it, which is bananas to me. Do a lot of your other friends play with these?
My other friend, yeah, she plays with them. She actually gave me a couple of her duplicates, and I started building my collection when she gave me those.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Norah, as the mini brands expert. We really appreciate your insight, and you've done a great job.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for today's case study on mini brands. Don't forget to follow Brand Chops for more insights.
And make sure you go and share your favorite branding moments with us on social. Let us know how you're able to connect with your audience earlier and turn them into ideal clients.
And if your kids are infatuated with mini brands, I'd love to hear more stories about that. I'm sure there's lots of parents that are hating them because they step on them all the time, like a Lego or like a micro machine. So tune in next week where we'll chop up more brands to see what they're made of.
See you guys.
Brand Chops is brought to you by the fine people at Pivot Creative. Pivot Creative is a full-service branding and marketing agency that partners with businesses to build brands that connect so that every dollar you spend is an investment and not an expense. If you need some branding or marketing guidance, a website, a new brand, or want to learn more about one of the topics we cover on the show, please reach out to us at pivotcreative.com. If you know someone that would benefit from learning more from one of our shows, please share the episode. Visit brand-chops.com. And as always, like and subscribe if you find this content to be helpful. See you next time on Brand Chops, where we chop up brands to see what they're made of.